Chapter 14, The Mintleaf Mission. Pepper Mintleaf's hands trembled as she reread the message glowing on her communication crystal. The usually cheerful elf's face had drained of color, her pointed ears drooping with the weight of the information she'd received. Holly, Jack, and Juniper watched her anxiously, the tension in the room palpable. "Pepper," Holly prompted gently. "What does it say?" Pepper looked up, her eyes wide with a mixture of fear and resolve. It's worse than we thought," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "The Magical Council isn't just interested in Mary Hollow. They're considering intervention." Jack's eyebrows shot up, frost forming on his fingertips in response to his agitation. "Intervention? What exactly does that mean?" Pepper took a deep breath, squaring her small shoulders. "I think it's time I told you everything. The full extent of the Council's interest in Mary Hollow, and why they sent me here." Over the next hour, Pepper revealed a world far vaster and more complex than Holly had ever imagined. The Magical Council, it turned out, oversaw not just Mary Hollow, but a vast network of magical communities spread across the globe. "There's Archipelago Arcane," Pepper explained, conjuring shimmering images in the air as she spoke. "A chain of floating islands where weather mages studied the patterns of wind and storm. And the Chrysalis Collective, a society of shapeshifters who live in a perpetually transforming city." Holly's head spun as she tried to take it all in. Mary Hollow, which had always seemed like the center of all magic to her, was just a small part of a much larger tapestry. "But Mary Hollow is unique," Pepper continued. "The concentration of Christmas magic here, combined with the recent awakening of winter powers, has created a magical nexus unlike anything the Council has ever seen." Juniper leaned forward, her brow furrowed. "And that's why they sent you? To study this nexus?" Pepper nodded, a flicker of guilt crossing her face. "At first, yes. But as I spent time here, as I got to know all of you, my mission changed. I couldn't just be an observer anymore." Jack's eyes narrowed. "What exactly does the Council want with Mary Hollow's magic?" Pepper's shoulders slumped. "They believe that the unique blend of Christmas and winter magic here could be the key to solving magical imbalances around the world. But their methods?" She trailed off, her expression troubled. "What methods?" Holly pressed, a sense of dread growing in her stomach. "They want to extract the magic," Pepper said softly. "Harness it, control it. They think they can use it to stabilize other magical communities that are struggling. But the process, it could drain Mary Hollow completely." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Holly felt as if the ground was shifting beneath her feet. The Magical Council, which she had always vaguely thought of as a benevolent guiding force, was willing to sacrifice their entire town for the greater good. "But that's not right," Holly said, her voice gaining strength as she spoke. "Magic isn't something you can just extract and redistribute. It's tied to the land, to the people, to centuries of tradition and belief." Juniper nodded in agreement. "And who's to say their solution wouldn't just create more problems? Magical balance is delicate. You can't just brute force it." Pepper looked relieved at their reactions. "That's what I've been trying to tell them. But the Council, they're used to making hard decisions for the greater good. They see Mary Hollow as one small town weighed against the needs of the entire magical world." Jack, who had been quiet for a while, suddenly spoke up. "What if we could show them another way? Prove that Mary Hollow's magic is more valuable intact, that we can find a solution that benefits everyone without sacrificing our home?" Holly felt a spark of hope at his words. "Yes. We've already made progress in balancing Christmas and winter magic. Maybe that's the key, not extraction, but harmony." As they began to formulate a plan, Pepper's internal struggle was evident. She paced back and forth, her small form radiating tension. "I want to help," she said, her voice cracking slightly. "But the Council, they gave me a chance when no one else would. They believed in me. Holly approached the young elf, placing a comforting hand on her shoulder. Pepper, loyalty is admirable. But blind loyalty can be dangerous. The council sent you here to learn, to understand. By helping us, you're fulfilling that mission in the truest sense. Pepper looked up at Holly, tears shimmering in her eyes. You're right, she said, a new determination in her voice. Mary Hollow has become more than just an assignment to me. It's become a home. And I'll do whatever it takes to protect it. With Pepper fully on board, the team threw themselves into planning. They would need to present their case to the full Magical Council, demonstrating the unique value of Mary Hollow's magical ecosystem and proposing alternative solutions to the imbalances in other communities. We should bring examples, Juniper suggested. Tangible proof of how our magic works in harmony with the natural world. Jack nodded. And testimonials from the citizens. Show the council that Mary Hollow is more than just a source of power, it's a living, breathing community. As they worked, Holly found herself in awe of the scope of what they were undertaking. They weren't just fighting for Mary Hollow anymore, they were potentially reshaping the future of magic itself. Hours passed in a flurry of planning and preparation. They drafted speeches, gathered magical artifacts, and prepared demonstrations of Mary Hollow's unique blending of Christmas and winter magic. Pepper used her council contacts to arrange an emergency hearing, stressing the urgency of their case. As the first light of dawn began to creep through the windows, Holly felt a sense of cautious optimism. They had a solid plan, a united team, and the righteous determination to protect their home. All right, she said, looking around at her friends with pride. I think we're as ready as we'll ever be. Let's get some rest before dash. But Holly's words were cut short as a sudden wave of dizziness washed over her. The air around her began to shimmer and swirl, magical energy coalescing into visible patterns. Holly? Jack's concerned voice sounded distant, as if coming from underwater. What's happening? Holly tried to respond, but she felt herself being pulled away, her consciousness drifting into a sea of swirling magic. The last thing she saw before the vision took hold was the worried faces of her friends, reaching out to catch her as she fell. In her mind's eye, Holly found herself standing in a vast chamber, its walls adorned with shimmering representations of magical communities from around the world. At the center stood a group of figures, their forms obscured by swirling mist but radiating immense power. The Magical Council, Holly realized with a jolt. She was seeing them in session, deliberating the fate of Mary Hollow. The imbalance grows worse by the day, one shadowy figure was saying, its voice echoing with authority. We cannot afford to wait any longer. Mary Hollow's magic must be harnessed for the greater good. But at what cost? Another countered. Are we not sworn to protect all magical communities, no matter their size? Sometimes sacrifices must be made, a third voice intoned solemnly. The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. As Holly watched, unable to intervene, she saw images of other magical communities in crisis. A great tree in what must be the heart of the Chrysalis Collective was withering, its transformative magic faltering. The floating islands of Archipelago Arcane were sinking, their weather magic no longer able to keep them aloft. Mary Hollow's magic could stabilize them all, the first voice insisted. We cannot let sentiment cloud our judgment. But then, to Holly's surprise, a smaller figure stepped forward. Though obscured like the others, there was something familiar about its stance. Wait, the figure said, its voice clear and determined. We've received word that representatives from Mary Hollow wish to address the council. They claim to have new information that could change everything. A murmur ran through the assembled council members. Finally, the central figure spoke, its voice resonating with final authority. Very well. We will hear them out. But make no mistake, if their proposal does not offer a viable alternative, we will proceed with the extraction as planned. As the vision began to fade, Holly felt a mix of hope and trepidation. They had a chance to state their case, but the stakes were higher than she had ever imagined.